Now, whether on the big screen or small screen, teachers have come in all shapes, sizes and persuasions. If they have good or bad intentions, the teachers of movies and television have entertained us always, so get ready to be tested. I hope you've revised as we count down our top 10 teachers in movies and TV. But first, here are 10 teacher facts. In School of Rock, Ned Schneebly's old band, Maggot Death, is a reference to the heavy metal band Megadeth.
You're not gonna get in trouble. I'm hungry.
While pitching Breaking Bad to Bryan Cranston, Vince Gilligan told him he wanted to start off with a nerdy Mr. Chips type character and transform him into Scarface.
Chemical bonds are what make matter matter.
The picture of Miss Honey's father, Magnus, is actually a portrait of Roald Dahl, the author of the book Matilda, upon which the film is based.
I am not 7 years old anymore, Anne Trunchbull.
In Ferris Bueller's Day Off, John Hughes told Ben Steen, who had a degree in economics, to present an actual economics lecture to his scenes. In his scenes. Hence, nothing Steen says, aside from the roll call, is scripted.
Bueller. Bueller.
Wait for it.
Bueller.
And again.
Bueller.
Thank you. In Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, Professor Quirrell, Ian Hart's classroom, was filmed on location at Laycock Abbey in Wiltshire, in a room known as the Warming Room. The cauldron scene in the room is not a prop, but in fact came from the location. It is believed that the cauldron is over 500 years old and was used by cooks who worked for Queen Elizabeth I.
Professor Quirrell, excuse me. Could I borrow wood for a moment, please?
Yes.
In Mean Girls, the character Mrs. Norbury was named after a German teacher at Upper Darby High School, where Tina Fey attended.
And now I'm going to push you, because I know you're smarter than this.
Wonder if she was a drug pusher.
Thank you. What attracted Robin Williams to the role of John Keaton in Dead Poet Society more than anything else was that he was the type of teacher he, in his school days, always wished he had.
No matter what anybody tells you, words and ideas can change the world.
Miss Berg, who was the dance teacher in the movie Fame in 1980, on the TV show she was an elderly secretary.
You want fame? Well, fame costs. And right here is where you start paying.
In Mr. Holland's opus, David Clegg, the actor who portrayed the school board superintendent, was in real life a school teacher. His first love was acting, but turned to teaching to provide for his family and ultimately made a career out of it. A real life Mr. Holland.
Play the sunset.
And in The Simpsons, Principal Skinner's favourite Star Wars character is Chewbacca.
As you can see, I'm holding a big number 2 in my hands, enjoying the weight and feel of it.
I tell you what, it's a nightmare, right, reading all those things out. It really is. But I feel I actually I taught my guests some things today because the look of shock on their faces with some of those facts. Let's turn the music off. That's way too much. Ladies and gentlemen, we're doing the top 10 movie and TV teachers, and joining us, we have two ladies that are far cleverer than I am. So I feel like I'm going to be put in my place. Will you please welcome Alayna and Marissa from the Everything is Learning podcast? Yay!
Oh, thank you for having us.
Well, this is very exciting because, like I say, I was talking to both of you earlier on, and Alayna was saying about how you've got all these master's degrees and God knows what. I mean, I feel like a real thicko. I really do.
No, we love learning. That's what we talk about in our podcast. Like, learning's a journey. We love learning. We love learning from people. Like, we learned. I saw my sister. Like, we learned a ton of facts from that. That was so cool.
God bless IMDb. That's all I say. Thank you very much to IMDb.
A lot of my learning has been, like, transformational learning has been outside the classroom, not exclusive to the classroom. So as great as a degree is, it's not necessarily translate to experience and the learning that comes from that.
Right. That's what we were talking about that before we press record, Alayna, wasn't it? The fact that it's not just necessarily teaching in a classroom where you do the majority of your teaching. Again, personally, the amount of rubbish that I know, that I learn from movies and just general places, is so much more than I ever learned. I mean, I never learned anything at school. I just didn't bother. But it's crazy what you pick up in real life.
Yeah. I mean, for us too. We're huge movie buffs. We love music. Yeah. Like we learn from other people more than I think maybe we learned in the classroom. And we were both educators and we continue to learn from people and work with people and teach people and learn from them. And it's just this constant cycle. And we just believe in limitless transformation so much, and that education and learning are not synonymous. So our podcast is actually not an education podcast. It's really more like self-exploration, self-learning, self-love, self-care, like, and just it just is this beautiful journey that we're all on, and we're all just trying to figure it out.
Well said. But I also think, to your point, Pav, a lot of what you learn in a classroom is specifically tailored to follow a standardized program, whereas the knowledge that you gained, you were probably interested in. And so you spent the time to go research that and funnel that. And I know that there's a lot of principles like unlearning and unschooling and worldly learning and things that have changed, because ultimately we recognize that standardization is not a true learning model. Customization, personalization, that's where people learn, because they can figure out what their spark is, what their passion is. And so I know that if I ever was competing in trivia, you'd be the person I'd call to be on my team.
Yes.
Well, if you're ever on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, I'll give you my number.
You're
and
our lifeline.
I could be on phone a friend.
And I learned from your podcast that someone from that show has to be with the phone a friend so that they don't cheat. And
That's
I only
right.
picked that up because of a fact from your show.
Well, I always say that we're not just entertaining. We try to, enlighten people as well. And it doesn't always work, but sometimes we like to think we do.
There we go.
It's definitely one of those things. I mean, I wish I'd gone to school now rather than when I did, because you can do degrees in Taylor Swift and stuff like that, and I would love that. I was just learning about Taylor Swift. I mean, God, what a life that would be.
Right. I mean, it's so true. Like personalized learning, Marissa was talking about it. Personalized learning changes everything. And the thing of it is we personalize our learning when we're adults. So if you're going through standardized testing and standardized assessments and just standardized learning, that's not applicable to what it's going to be like when you're an adult either.
Yeah.
And to ask people at 16, 17, 18 years old to choose their path for life and almost like stifle iterations of yourself. We go through thousands of iterations of ourselves all the time. Like, and I know, like, even from this list, I'm like, gosh, I was so inspired by cinema and television in all of these people, and I am just so pumped to hear your guys' top 10 too.
Well, this is the crux, obviously, of the whole podcast. I will let everybody know that if you want to listen to Alayna and Marissa's podcast, I'll put the link in the show notes. Please go and have a listen and come and subscribe. And we'll also put a link into your social media or your LINKTREE and stuff like that so people can get in touch with you. One more thing about school. One thing I've noticed, and I noticed this when I went to school, which was a long, long time ago. long time. Wax tablets we used to write on back in those days. You never learn about things like bank accounts. Now I don't know. Now by the sounds of your accents, I believe you don't live in the UK. I think you must be far away. Is that right?
I did at one point, and it was the time of my life.
Oh, right.
My husband also did at one point, and we want to go back, but no, we don't.
No. So I don't know whether it's the same in America. I'm assuming it's America. I'm assuming a lot. But things like bank accounts or how to buy a house or insurance, all the boring stuff that when you're an adult I'm waving my fingers here and saying an adult, that is the stuff that you should know, but you have no idea. You have to learn it kind of on the fly. Is it the same in America? Do they have like special lessons for that kind of thing?
So
unless you want to pay for it.
Yeah,
Oh, really?
I mean, it's kind of one of those things where actually that's how the podcast originated, was like sitting down one day when we were talking about like what is missing in education. We did a bunch of research. We asked a bunch of different people what they were seeing, graduates of schools that we worked at, and parents, etc., close friends. And what we found was there was so much that wasn't being learned in schools, and all of the things you just listed, it kind of inspired us to go, maybe we should talk about what's missing and how we can do that at home. And as time evolved, over time, we've realized like this is so needed. So the quick answer is no, not really. I think some places are trying to do that now because they recognize what you recognize, but it is so essential to do that.
Well, and platforms like YouTube allow open source learning. So there's like dads who want to impart knowledge on the next generation that they've taught their own children, and then like recognize how pervasive that this can be and beneficial that this can be. So YouTube has been really impactful for me, MOOCs, things like that. But ultimately, I have to initiate that, and not everyone has that drive to initiate. So wouldn't it be helpful if institutions of learning where you already have to go and attend did incorporate that? Because to your point about the wax tablets, I learned home economics. And let me tell you, there was nothing economics about it. Don't get me wrong, it was really great. But it just, like, I learned how to sew. I didn't keep up after that. That would have been a really critical life skill if I had any interest in it, but I thought that was like the most boring thing. I really enjoyed the class because I got to go with friends, and it wasn't like sitting in a classroom behind a desk. It was like actually going and touching and like tactile learning in that way. But yeah, good call. No, and I'm sorry that, like America, the UK is experiencing something similar. Wouldn't it be nice if we had a class to prepare us for adulthood?
I completely agree. And I must admit, if I'm doing any kind of DIY, the first thing I would do was go on YouTube and look at how to properly wire a plug, how to properly stop a leak, it's the first place I go to. Because so again, what we used to do, or what my dad used to do 30 years ago, I have no idea. They would just flood, I suppose. Or give them an electric shock and trying to sort a plug out. I don't know. Anyway, we're here to do a service to everybody. I can ding that, can't I? Oh, dear. We're going to work out our top 10 movie and TV teachers. Start with you, Alayna. How hard did you find putting your top 10 together?
Oh my gosh, it was impossible. I have like 50 honorable mentions.
Welcome to my world. That's what I'm like every single week. I have reams of paper where I got to try and work out my top 10s. Oh my Lord.
I know I have like 4 different ones in front of me, and I'm like, oh no. But my number 10, I was thinking about like who would I really want to teach me? That's how I chose my top 10. And number 10 for me is Stephen Hightower from the Steve Harvey Show. Do you guys remember that show? Did you ever watch that show?
I've never seen it. Now, I also feel there'll be a lot of stuff here that I may not have seen over here. So you will have to explain. So it's Steve Hightower.
Yeah, from the Steve Harvey Show.
Okay.
So Steve Harvey, the comedian.
Yeah.
So he had a show back in the, I don't know, I know I watched it on reruns, but
probably 80s.
Probably 80s, like late 80s, I think. But I just remember laughing hysterically. And then there would be these like really touching moments where you're like, oh my gosh. And Cedric the Entertainer was on this show too as another teacher, like one of his best friends. They like lived together at times. Like it was great. But he went from being like a professional musician for like these big name people to being a high school music teacher. And I love music. Marissa and I both played instruments growing up. We weren't particularly great at it, but we loved it. And so I thought of Stephen Hightower, and it made me laugh. So
what instruments did you play?
I played the flute, the piano, and guitar.
Take a guess for me.
Oh my God.
It was a woodwind. I'll go with that.
It was a woodwind.
A woodwind instrument.
Yep.
Yeah.
Is a saxophone a woodwind instrument? No.
It has a reed.
But it was the clarinet. My husband played the trombone. I played the clarinet. Alayna played the flute. We have another sister who played the trumpet. You know, we could have started our own band.
Oh my God. Well, you could at least be the woodwind section, couldn't you?
Right.
You could at least be there too. Oh my God. I didn't see what I mean by talented. I mean, goodness me. I don't know. I don't think I can handle this much talent in one go. Oh, no. I didn't mean it. I honestly, that time didn't mean to touch the bell. I was moving my hand and it banged the bell. So
that might be my favorite one out of any episode I've watched of your podcast.
I'm sorry about that. I feel like I'm going to say I'm sorry a lot tonight.
There's no
Okay then.
necessary.
Okay, Marissa, how hard did you find your top 10? And also, what is your number 10?
Well, so it was very challenging, and I definitely pulled from recent knowledge, like because if I went way back, then it would have been a list of 40. But my 10 is actually a UK shout out, which is probably going to be slightly controversial because I think this person is designated as a bad teacher per se, but given that he teaches history, my pick is Alfie Wickers from Bad Education. Have you ever seen this show?
I've seen, because it wasn't that. So that's oh god, what's his
It's played
name?
by Jack Whitehall. He's a comedian, and it's very funny, and definitely like he's a unique character. But they do these things called class wars, and they try. It's a lot of insensitivity, and definitely not. I would say approved for all audiences. Yeah. But what I will say is, if I had learned in the way that he had taught. Yeah. I think I would have retained a lot more because they did it so practically. And he, outside of the classroom, he's probably not the best of role models and all of that, but it's so funny and it's catchy. And similar to this, when you're having fun with what you're doing or what you're watching, you're learning a lot and absorbing a lot. And I learned a lot from the show. So really? Huge shout out to Bad Education. It's hilarious. I would recommend 10 out of 10 recommend.
Yeah, because it was a TV show and a movie as well, wasn't it, I think?
So I haven't seen the movie yet, but yes, because the seasons ended and they did do that.
Yeah, okay. I must admit, I'm not a big Jack Whitehall fan, so I've not watched any of that, but I feel it's something that if I watched, I would enjoy, because I like that kind of, the bad comedy. That sort of edgy comedy as opposed to the sort of really sort of plain sitcom kind of thing. So, okay. Right, we're up and running. My number 10. Now, when we decided we were going to do this subject, this was the first person I thought of, and I mentioned him in the facts, and it is John Keaton from Dead Poets Society. And he's on my list. Oh,
he's
what
on
number?
Mine too.
Okay, is it what number?
Mine's number 2. Really, I'm so sad that he's so far
down. Well, so Marissa, what number is he for you?
Number 8.
Number 8, okay. The thing was, he didn't start in my top 10 at number 10. He started a lot higher. It was just that when I then thought about it and thought, no, I'm going to put them there, he kind of just hung on by his fingernails being in the top 10. But I felt he was exactly what it was said on the facts. He's kind of like, you would want that kind of teacher with that passion and that sort of drive to make sure that his pupils are getting everything out of the lessons that he's trying to teach. And if anybody's seen Dead Poets Society, it's a hard watch in places. It's one of those movies that that bad things are going to happen in it, but you've got to like get through those bad things to watch the sort of redemption bit at the end and Captain My Captain and all of that kind of stuff that's just heartbreaking but beautiful. And it was great to see Robin Williams in that kind of performance. Because you only know him as Nanu and and Mork and Mindy and being
Mrs.
this wild,
Doubtfire.
Wild and crazy kind of thing, doing stupid stuff, and he was very grounded in that. And it was did he get? I'm not sure if he got an Oscar nomination for that one. He might well have done.
Oh, I don't know, but I hope he did.
Yeah, I'm sure. But yeah, that look at that. We've all got that one. I never.
Yeah.
We'll do that again. Okay, number 9, please, Alayna. It's all the time. Sorry, my brain just keeps going. Sorry.
No. Please never apologize. Our brains are unique and they're beautiful and they're perfect as they are. But I will say, Miss Valerie Frizzle, Miss Frizzle from Magic School Bus.
She's my number 5.
Anybody? Is she really? So I feel like as a female in the 90s and early 2000s in school, I don't feel like I was encouraged to be like to go into the science field. I loved environmental science. I really loved learning about science. I found science fascinating, the human body, all that stuff. But I was so inspired by, she was fun and some of the concepts were so challenging and she just took these kids for a literal ride. And it was just, I know it's the magic school bus, but how cool, how sick would it be if we could actually do that kind of stuff? And I feel like with technology now, you can kind of do that kind of stuff. But I just think she was such an inspiration as a female. Like, I related to that. I loved that she was quirky and unique and funny, and there were so many different types of kids represented, and they were like, they all had very different personalities, but they all could figure out a way to relate to her. And that's what I took in, and I was just so inspired by her.
Okay.
Yep.
And you said, Marissa, you said that's your number 5, yeah?
Yes, and I think what also was special, so I had her picked out specifically, her red hair, her fun, unique outfits. And have you ever seen the show?
I've not, no.
Okay, so the premise of it, it's a cartoon, and she is the science teacher, if you hadn't picked that up, so definitely propelling STEM. But the magic school bus can like shrink and manipulate and travel wherever you want into outer space. And she
into your nose, like through your body and your cells.
And I had debated putting Bill Nye the Science Guy or something else here, because I think that like that education was really pivotal. But I picked her because a female was really helpful, but also because there were no limits, because it was a cartoon. You could really do whatever you want. And it's voiced by Lily Tomlin, which I didn't know until I had to go look up. Like I like wanted to know, oh, what is Miss Frizzle's first name? Which is Valerie. Didn't know that.
Yeah.
And that is voiced by her. And so I was like, that makes it even more of the reason I'm going to pick this, because I think she's fantastic in everything. Most recently, Grace and Frankie, which if you haven't seen that show, highly recommend. But yeah, so definitely a top pick for me.
Well, one of the beauties of this is I put a video playlist together for our Patreon subscribers, our top heads, and I'm going to be able to watch a lot of this stuff, because I've got a feeling there'll be a few of those kind of things that are just, well, I mean, the 2 that you've done, Alayna, are 2 that I don't know about, so I'm going to be, watching those bits from YouTube for that as well. So again, YouTube, what a wonderful place to go.
Praise YouTube. All hail.
Indeed. Okay, Marissa, you're number 9 then, please.
So it's Mr. Ray from Finding Nemo and Finding Dory. Not a person, it's a character, but he similarly teaches a lot of things clever, and he sings. He brings music into it.
I didn't even think of that. That's a great one.
I figured it was going to be really hard not to have redundant top teachers. And that one I thought of really stood out to me. I have 2 young children, and Finding Nemo and Finding Dory are really big in my household, but I think like I have to put the captions on, and listening to him sing some of the music and how clever Disney and Pixar were with how they leveraged that learning opportunity. It's amazing. And it's voiced by Bob Peterson, who does other voices for other characters. So it's kind of cool, like, to see the different roles that even he voices throughout. But yeah, Mr. Ray, being a cool manta ray is really awesome.
I'm literally singing the song in my head. Oh, migration, let's learn about migration. Like, my kids, we all just dressed up as, and Marissa was with us too. We did our whole family of origin. We all get together on Halloween at my parents' house, and all of our kids dressed up as Disney animals this year. So nobody dressed up as Mr. Ray though, but Finding Dory was a big thing. We love that.
So the question now is, Alayna, Marissa, what did you dress up as? What animals did you dress up as?
I was Marlin, and my 5-month-old was Nemo, and then our daughter was Dory, and then Marissa's kids were from Zootopia.
We're all from Zootopia, yeah.
Wow.
I was the mean sheep, like the one who turns into the Mayor Bellwether and is behind all of the bad things. That was what my character was. I have a thing for Disney villains, so
right.
And Marissa's one of the nicest human beings on the face of the earth, so it's always so hilarious to me. But yeah.
So you guys know how to do Halloween properly, don't you? I mean,
we love it.
Do you dress up for Halloween?
Not for Halloween, no. What are you talking about now? This is like one of my secrets about dressing up, but no, not for Halloween. Every other day I'll dress up, but not. It's just one of those things. Like our street, I think there was maybe 3 houses that had like any Halloween stuff out, and I saw maybe I think there was about four groups that came to our door, and that was it. You know, and it's basically they put on a Disney dress or something. Yeah, that's just the boys. No, I'm only joking. So it's not a massive thing over here. I think it's getting more and more popular though.
Yeah,
I've seen who doesn't like free candy?
Yeah.
Well, this is it. I mean, I bought a load of candy because my wife had gone on holiday at the time. So I was kind of hoping that nobody came to the door.
I bought it for trick-or-treaters. They didn't come.
Yeah, our father buys 4 extra bags under the guise of we're gonna need it. And there are hundreds of, to be fair, in my parents' neighborhood, there are hundreds of people who come. Like, we literally give out hundreds of candy every year.
Yeah, but I feel that to my core.
Yeah. Okay, my number 9. Now, I could have chosen any teacher from Harry Potter, but I ended up choosing Severus Snape because I think he's the one that's got the most interesting arc from the start of the movies or the books all the way to the end, and quite tragic at the end. And also Alan Rickman is just a great actor.
Top 3 of all time.
Yeah. Where do you guys stand on because is it Amazon or Netflix are doing a TV series now of Harry Potter? Did you hear that?
Yeah, we've heard that. So for Halloween, my husband and I used to go up to the Finger Lakes and do a Harry Potter dinner. So you're talking to like extreme Harry Potter nerds. Okay. And actually my number 1 is also a teacher, but Severus Snape was on there. And Severus, when I went to Universal, his wand chose me. So like that's how big of a Snape fan I am.
There you go.
but like, yeah, no, I don't know about that show, but I'm super excited. There's a baking show with Fred and George, the brothers. They're about to do a baking show that was supposed to come out soon, and I'm so pumped for that. Like, I will watch every iteration there ever is, ever.
Really? Okay.
I love it. I'll judge it, but I'll love it.
He wasn't on my top 10, but definitely an honorable mention. I figured Hogwarts and Harry Potter was going to be a popular pick, so I opted not to do any. But that's a really good choice and kind of a controversial one because I know, like, as like a human being, he was so misjudged for so much of the series. But like, I love that you chose him, and specifically why, because you know we end up learning so much in that. And he really was a great teacher because if you go into when he took over the Defense Against the Dark Arts because Lupin was a werewolf, he's actually teaching them so that if anyone were clever enough, like Hermione, they could figure out what was going on.
Oh,
like
yeah.
a good teacher would. So great.
Potions class, though? Like, Potions class was legit, too.
Yeah, but it's only when you kind of watch it again that you realize that what he was doing to help people was in plain sight. But it's very clever. He was the villain in the first few movies. You thought he was trying to kill Harry, and what a bunch of geeks we are just chatting about Harry Potter.
I am open to like, as long as they don't touch and try to like 1-for-1 recreate what the original was like, I think I will be open to that because I want that, like, it's such a wonderful and compelling story. I want the next generation to love it as much as we did. And but I am nervous. Like, it's really hard to compare with anything. I was going to
say I think what they're saying is that each series is going to be one book. So they are going to, they're not going to leave anything out. Whereas the movies, they had to split everything, get everything into 2 hours. This is going to be like, again, it's like, I was listening to a podcast today and they were saying, what would they keep and what would they not keep? Because things like Hogwarts is so iconic now.
It is
really, you know, or John Williams' score is synonymous with Harry Potter. So they should keep that. But it's going to be weird. I really be interested to see how they pull it off.
Right. There were so many elements from the book, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is. But Marissa, you were kind of alluding to, like, it's kind of part of our childhood. And, like, so a part of, like, if you are a Harry Potter fan, so a part of who you are, to your point, Pav.
Exactly.
And I think that's why it feels so precious to us Harry Potter geeks.
But I feel exactly the same thing about Star Wars. The original Star Wars trilogy is my trilogy, you know? And the fact that Disney have kind of messed everything up, I've always got my trilogy, but I kind of feel it's sort of ruined Star Wars a little bit for everybody else because they're not getting the joy that I got out of it 40 odd years ago, however long it was.
Also, where they put it in the series too, like how they did prequels and postquels, like
that was the bad part. Yeah. That was confusing.
Don't get me started on that. Oh my God, we'll be here for 4 hours. I haven't got enough disk space on my computer for us to go through that. Okay, Alayna, you're number 8. Did I do? Yeah, you're number 8, please.
Yoda. I'd crap you not.
That's my number 3.
Oh, really?
That is my number 3.
Talking about Star Wars, and I was like, don't say anything yet.
Yeah. So why does he make your top 10?
Okay, so this is going to seem a little silly, but I love gamification in learning, and I feel like the way Yoda talks would keep me so engaged. And while I think, and I call it the Ewan McGregor series, but like that particular portion of time, because he was really the reason that I went to see those movies. I'm not even going to act like I wasn't. Okay. Not Hayden Christensen, Ewan McGregor, but but like as bad as the animatronic Yoda was, or CGI Yoda was, I found when he met with Padawans and he talked about the value of children, the profundity of that for me as a child, saying you're not of this generation or time where you should be seen and not heard. That moment was so profound for me that like I remember going back, and our father had us watching everything Star Wars for so long, so we are huge fans. And I thought about Grogu because I like how Grogu teaches the Mandalorian without even using language. And I think that's so important too for learners to know that it doesn't matter if you can traditionally share information or not. You can still learn without even words. So I thought about Grogu, but really Yoda just is it for me. So
I agree. I mean, it's just the simple things when he's teaching Luke the ways of the Force in Empire Strikes Back. It's just that simple phrase of "do or do not. There is no try."
Right.
It's a phrase that you could live your life by.
Yeah.
You know, it's that just go and give things a go. You just got to go and do it. Don't just do it. You know, and this was one of the ones that I thought, right now, can you class him as a teacher?
Yeah,
absolutely. But you absolutely can, because
yes.
that was basically what his life was teaching people his wisdom and the ways of the Force. But didn't quite make your top 10 then, Marissa.
No.
Okay, that's fine.
Marissa's not as big of a nerd as I am when it comes to
like,
that.
As soon as she said it, I was like, that's a great example. There's tons of great examples. There's people I wanted to put on this list. It like hurts me that I could only pick 10.
Again, welcome to my world. Yeah, that's that you can only have 10. That's the problem. Okay, so Marissa, you said John Keating from Dead Poets Society at number 8.
Yeah.
So my number 8, I'm going for one that's it's a show that's on at the moment. Oh. And being a Star Wars fan, I'm a massive Harrison Ford fan. And he's currently in Shrinking, which is on Apple Plus. I don't know if you guys have seen that.
Oh, I love that.
He might be the reason I watched that show.
There you go. But I'm going for Gabby, and she's the third. What are they called? What do you call them?
Therapist.
That's it. Yeah. Thank you. She's the third therapist, but she also teaches to classes and stuff as well. And I love that show. That show is, I mean, I know it's done by the same people that did Ted Lasso and things like that. And I do like Ted Lasso, but not as much as I liked the first series. I kind of fell out of love of it. But Shrinking is just so good. And if anybody, and the thing is, it's on Apple Plus, which a lot of people don't have or can't get. It's very rare you get a show that will make you laugh and cry all in the space of like 35 minutes.
Yeah.
And Shrinking is on its second season. I think it's second season now.
Yeah, no, you're right, second.
Yeah, and I'm loving it. And Gabby, played by Jessica Williams, is just so good. Every character in that show is beautiful and full, and they've all got flaws. And Harrison Ford is doing some of like his best work for absolute years, and it is just so well written. And I also feel that there's going to be a lot of heartbreak coming in the next few episodes, and maybe in the next season, after this. But I'm assuming you guys have seen it.
I have. I love it.
Yeah.
Marissa, you saw that? We've never talked about it. That's such a great show.
Because it's by the creators of Ted Lasso, and Ted Lasso is actually my next choice.
Oh, really? Well, there you
Yeah.
go. Spoilers for everyone,
I
by
know,
the way.
right? Sorry. Jumping ahead.
No, it's so funny though. My number 7 is Indiana Jones. So we were just talking Harrison Ford. We're talking shrinking. I don't understand. You're setting me up for this, Pabs.
Welcome to the Harrison Ford Appreciation Society. Yeah. But yeah, so I had to put. I mean, I could have put any of the three in there. Harrison Ford. I could have easily put them in there because they're all giving out their wisdom as such.
Right.
But she's so sassy, Gabby. I love that. I just know it. She's so good. Okay, that's my number 8. So, Alayna, what's your number 7?
Yeah, Indy.
Yeah.
We thought about naming our daughter Indy at one point because I love Indiana Jones. I don't know if I ever told you that meme.
It's a secret.
No, we again, our father, we grew up on Indiana Jones. I think it's some of the series is still some of Steven Spielberg's best work too. I just, you know what it is too? Because I kept trying to defend certain choices, and I was like, you don't see him in the classroom that much, but when he is, everyone is captivated.
Absolutely.
And I think
not just because he's so attractive, because that is definitely a hard play in Indiana Jones.
Oh yeah, no.
Captivated if my teacher looked like that too. Even Harrison Ford today.
Yeah.
But also the glasses. I love that he can be nerdy and also be the other one.
Yeah.
The other one. Yeah. But I think the other piece of it that I kept thinking about too was the fact that he could do both, and that he was hands-on. That's gonna get a ding. And then
I missed that one. Oh my god, I'm slipping.
And then the fact that he could be hands-on with his learning, but also be teaching and also be traveling and introducing different cultures and different societies. I thought that was really cool. I learned a lot, but one of my favorite scenes from the Shia LaBeouf one
oh dear. Yeah.
was when he drives into the library and answers a question at the table.
Yes.
That was genius. I was like, this guy, I want him to teach me,
Yes.
So that's my number 7.
Yeah. And I would love to know how many people went into archaeology after Raiders of the Lost Ark.
That would be fascinating.
Because people would go, I want to be like him. I want to be an archaeologist. And of course, being an archaeologist isn't going to be like being Indiana Jones. I got a job at a local pub after watching Cocktail with Tom Cruise, right? Thinking, I want a bit of that. And I ended up working in this little country pub where, the usual person coming in was 70. And
I wanted beer, right?
I'm thinking, where's all the hot women, and why can't I spin bottles around? And I thought, no, this isn't what Tom Cruise told me. Yeah, Tom Cruise never showed this. But I can imagine that people, yeah, exactly. I can imagine that people were like, I want to be an archaeologist like Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
But
with the advent of AI and how that has played a role into it, that field may have gotten a little more intriguing because now it's they're able to use it to find things. Because let me tell you, I'd just be digging and digging and digging, and I'd find dirt and all the different other things, but never a fossil.
You had a rock thing. You had an archaeology phase. Oh, yeah,
for sure.
I remember that.
It was Indiana Jones and Jurassic Park was out at the same time.
That's right.
All that. So yeah, it was very big for me, but he didn't make my list. But it's a good choice.
That's fair enough. What is your number 7 then, Marissa?
Ted Lasso.
Oh yeah,
my goodness. Right, yeah. I love Ted Lasso. First off, the character is so beautiful and positive, and I think coaching is an amazing way of teaching. And when I left the classroom, I found a lot of joy from coaching. And I coached volleyball and basketball, and played a lot of sports growing up, but like coaches, because they see you in something that you're interested in, they have such a pivotal role in playing not only for what you're supposed to be learning, but like his impact on his players and how he doesn't care about wins and losses, but wants to make them a better team, even as professionals. But he also does it with positivity and vulnerability. And you get to see all of these things from a male, which is even more amazing. And then he comes in with these really big, impactful quotes, things that he didn't even come up with. But the one that resonates with me most and why he made this list is the one quote from Walt Whitman, be curious, not judgmental. Mm-hmm. If I could live my life by one mantra, kind of like what you had said with Yoda, that would be me. Mm. So that's why he's on my list.
It was one of those shows that it didn't really have, I mean, it had a bad guy and it had a, you know, but it was like very positive all the way through it. I loved the first series, and my only concern with Ted Lasso is when anybody ever tries to recreate sports, and it always looks a bit cheesy. You know, it's like the football bits in it. Maybe because I recognize a few people. I'm thinking like the actual referee is a real referee, and I'm thinking we can't act. He's terrible. You know, and he's being a referee, but he still didn't. And there's just bits in it that those kind of bits turn me off it. But as a show, it was just so nice to have people just like Ted Lasso hasn't got a bad bone in his body, and even when he has like panic attacks.
Yeah,
you can relate to that. You can relate to the moment, and he's not trying to be nasty to anybody. And even when he snaps, you know that it's not because he's nasty. He's just a lovely, lovely person that's in a situation that he can't really.
And he never talks down to anyone.
No,
and even when he's talked bad about, he rises above it. And there's a few American coaches that I can think of, like the Seattle Seahawks coach and things like that have that reputation, but they're so few and far between. And I love that he was or anyone like that was memorialized in TV. It's great.
And they're supposed to be doing this 4th series from what I've heard as well, apparently.
Yeah. So excited, really hopeful. Hannah Waddington is just a treasure.
And how would you even think that that's the same woman that was shouting shame in Game of Thrones?
Oh my gosh, incredible! She's a dynamo.
But you look at her and you think, oh my God, where have you been? And then all of a sudden you think that's the same woman. No, it can't be the same woman, but it is.
I thought they got it wrong on IMDb when they credited her. They got it wrong.
It's crazy, absolutely crazy. Okay, it's my turn to give you. I didn't mean to ding that then after saying give you, so I've got to stop. Put my hands. I'll sit on my hands or something. So here's one. Have you ever heard of a TV show from the UK called Grange Hill?
No.
So this was a show that went on for. From 1978 to 2008. It went on for 30 years. And it was just, Grange Hill was a school. And so it was just all the kind of things that happened at a British school. And there was one particular teacher called Mr. Bronson, who was an asshole. He was horrible. He was a horrible teacher. But being that sort of age when you were at school, you knew a Mr. Bronson. You know what I mean? So, like, every time he came on, and he was played by Michael Sherd, who also played Admiral... God, he was one of the admirals from Empire Strikes Back. So he was one of the Star Wars admirals. One of the ones that got killed by Darth Vader. Again, Darth Vader got angry because they didn't do something right. I don't think it was Admiral Piet, but anyway, I'm getting off the whole thing. But he played Mr. Bronson as well, and he was one of those guys that was just, everybody knew a Mr. Bronson. So he wasn't he wasn't a bad guy. He was just one of those really strict teachers that would always be telling the bad kids off, and you go, I know him. So he became this villain that everybody knew. Oh, and you'd start calling teachers, there's Mr. Bronson, there's Bronson over there. So in your daily life at school, there's Bronson over there. So it was a really low budget kind of children's TV show, but it was a TV drama.
Lasted for 30 years.
Yeah, it must have been good.
Indeed. And it became quite a cultural thing because one of the school kids got hooked on heroin. And then they had in the show, it was part of the show, and they had this whole Just Say No campaign. I think they ended up going to the White House, and they had a song out, which is a terrible song. It is so bad. It's a really bad song. But there's so many like moments that flicker in my mind that I remember from being a kid, and you'd watch Grange Hill. It was one of the things you'd always watch and then talk about at school the following day. So it was just one of those school kid shows that every kid of my age would have watched. You know, it's that kind of. So I would have been 9 when it started.
I'm excited to look that one up.
Yeah, it definitely had its moments. It had also, again, it was it was of its time, and there is a lot of moments on there that you think, my God, you wouldn't get away with like racist stuff, and you wouldn't get away with it now. And it is shocking because when you watch, I've shown bits, not necessarily that show, but I've shown bits to my kids and said, this is what we used to watch, and they'd be there open-mouthed in horror at the fact of how homophobic or sexist or racist it was, and it was classed as entertainment. It was like Saturday night comedy, and they would go, I can't believe you used to watch this. I said, yeah, but at that time it wasn't even thought of, you know. Whereas you look at it now, I would never. I'm horrified thinking that oh my God, it even got made, let alone that people watched it, and then it was successful. It was like the top show. It was
wild.
Different times, but you know, there you go. Okay,
yeah, the
so
phrase
Mr.
we
Bronson.
use in the States is it didn't age well. I don't know if you guys use that.
That's absolutely correct. That's the perfect way of putting it. Okay, Alayna, you're number 6, please.
Have you ever seen The Bear?
The Bear. Oh, is that yes, the cookery show?
Yes, yeah.
The cookery show.
I know what you're saying.
I know what you mean. Yes, I love that. Yeah, I haven't seen series 3 yet though.
So yeah, I binged it. It's just so Olivia Colman, who is one of my favorite actresses of all time. She plays a woman named Chef Terry, and she we talk about on our podcast like how you know, I know we were talking about teachers, and you and I talked about this before we got on, but we use the word learning mentors. So anybody who's kind of in a position where you learn from. All of us are learners. All of us at some point in our life are learning mentors, but I know she's a chef, but she trained other chefs. She owned her own restaurant in the show. But her demeanor was quiet, and it kind of came off as she was strict, and she was just like a cameo role, like a couple times throughout the series. But I loved how she was level-headed. She was kind, in a way, and she was compassionate, but she had zero tolerance for nonsense. And you could tell, but it wasn't in a way that put you down. It was a way that checked yourself.
Yeah.
And there was a sign up in her kitchen that was huge to everybody, and every second counts. That's what it said. Every second counts. And this is going to be a spoiler, but in I think it's the most recent season, she ends up having to sell her restaurant or wanting to sell her restaurant, and she invites everybody for the goodbye dinner. And you can tell how much she impacted just the world with how she was as a chef, but also as a mentor. And I love Olivia Colman. So, yeah.
It's funny because we were saying about Indiana Jones and wanting to make you be an archaeologist. You've only got to watch a couple of episodes of The Bear, and there's no way you'd ever want to be a chef when you see you see how brutal it is.
Oh my gosh!
That everybody is shouting at each other. I couldn't stand that. As much as it must be beautiful to create wonderful food,
right?
It just looks absolutely brutal.
Yeah, I mean, I would have anxiety attacks every night. I really would.
I couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. Either. That is a good one though. Okay, Marissa, you're number 6, please.
Mr. Miyagi from The Karate Kid, both the 1 and 2. He has this unique way of like he's teaching without actually knowing, like you don't know you're learning, and it seems mundane, but like the fact that consistency and practice and repetition are a critical part, and that learning can be done in mundane situations. But also like how powerful, even to Alayna talking earlier about the way in which you communicate, it doesn't have to be all verbal to learn. And I thought that was really impactful. And the art of karate is beautiful. I hope, like, as a female, I want to learn self-defense and have taken a few classes here and there, but it's something that, so I have a child who happens to be on the autism spectrum, and I understand that not necessarily karate, but like art practices, like martial art practices can be really grounding for them. And so it's just something that, even though it's memorialized in film, I see the benefit and see the role and see the fact that he played such a significant part of this person's life. And he only really had one student, but it was he changed the world for that one person. And I think that's what teachers genuinely trying to emulate, like, you be the difference for that one person. Like, you can't maybe touch everyone, but the one person you can make a difference. And that's what that stood out to me. So that's why he's on my list.
That's a good one. Have you watched the Cobra Kai TV series?
Yep. Also, Miyagi's my number 3.
Oh,
I forgot to mention that. I just was so captivated by what you were saying.
It's not to me as it's cool because the like I told you, I like Disney villains, and the villain in the movies becomes like you get a better sense of really his background.
Yeah.
To me, it's very hard to see recreations, and I like that this was a spinoff and not a recreation, but it's not the same. And I will give it, I thought Jackie Chan, who was in like the new one with Jaden Smith, I thought he did a really good job, and I really like Jackie Chan, but there's no one who's going to be the original. And so even though I do very much like the show, it's not the same.
And there's a new Karate Kid movie coming out with Ralph Macchio, and Jackie Chan is in it as well, which is going to be interesting.
Know that.
Yeah,
I didn't know that either.
Yeah, so I'm assuming he's not playing Mr. Miyagi, because if Ralph Macchio, is that how you say it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, if he's in it, that must be from that universe. But they're bringing Jackie Chan in as well, so we'll have to wait and see on that. But
the Karate Kid multiverse.
Yeah, it must be. Yeah, it must be. Okay, my number 6, I'm going for. Now I think she's actually a head teacher, but I could have gone for Miss Honey from Matilda, but I'm going to go. I'm going to go for Miss Trunchbull instead, because.
What?
Well, just because I love that movie. That movie is so much fun, and she is such a great villain. She is just so bad. There isn't a good bone in her body. There just isn't. And it's kind of like you've got that one side, and you've got Miss Honey, who is just everything about her is perfect and wonderful. And they play off each other so well. But I think she's just, as a cartoon villain for that kind of movie, I think she's great. Now,
Genius.
She's not great as a teacher, obviously. She's not, if you're putting her in as someone who's going to inspire, the only thing she inspires is just nerves and
right.
all bad
brutality.
Stuff. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
But then again, she gives that kid that big, massive chocolate cake to eat. Now, that's a lovely looking cake. I'm not going to say no to that. I'd be naughty just so I could get that cake. But I suppose I should really have put Miss Honey there, but no, I put Miss Trunchbull instead. I take it you guys are fans of Matilda. I feel, Marissa, that you don't agree with that. You feel it should be Miss Honey.
Well, Miss Honey is an honorable mention. Miss Trunchbull is like, first off, Pam Ferris. She did great in that role. She did great in Harry Potter. She's very talented, and she there's no necessarily typecasting her, because if you ever see her in an interview outside of this, she's a very lovely person. But yeah, what do you learn from her but bullying and fear? So
exactly. Yeah. I probably haven't thought it through properly.
Acting. But I struggle with her as a good teacher, because let me tell you, save for Dolores Umbridge, who I think is even worse than Voldemort, Agatha Trunchbull is the worst, human beyond that.
That's a good point, Marissa. Maybe we should just move on. I'll take that as a now. I'll take that as a loss on that one. I mean, I've got John Keaton at number 10, who was inspirational, and I've gone and put Miss Trunchbull at number 6. So it doesn't make any sense.
Well, no, it does. So here's the thing. When you say Miss Honey, I even am like, oh, sickly sweet. Yes, she was so sweet. She really was. She was wonderful. I mean, Danny DeVito, I think, was the best thing in the whole movie. Really, truly. I really did. He was just genius. But no, I think Trunchbull teaches us something. We were just talking about this, Marissa, the other day, that you can draw inspiration in when you see something cruel in the world, it still inspires you, and it inspires you to be good, right?
Yeah.
So I think I understand the Trenchbull thing, and I also understand that, like, what a pivotal character in culture, right? Like, all of us know who she is, and all of us remember her. I think that genius choice.
And
Well,
also,
Roald Dahl, wrote her so well.
Yeah, and also the fact that she is a bully, and in the end, the bully doesn't win. You can win against the bully, you know.
Yeah.
And I think, I'm happy I put her there. Okay, right, we're halfway through. I never told you, you two, about this, but we're going to have a little bit of a quiz. So it's time for this.
Quiz, hot shot.
Yes, pop quiz, hot shot. Now, I need to work out exactly how to do this. So what I've got 10. I've got the name of the teacher, I've got the name of the school, and I've got the name of the TV or movie that they come from. Okay. So you've got a potential 2 points. Now, what I was thinking is, you'll go alternately, and if you want to, I can give you either the teacher, the school, or the TV or movie that it comes from, and then you need to give me the other 2 bits. Okay. So we'll start with you, Alayna, for number 1. What do you want? Would you like the teacher, the school, or the movie or TV?
School.
Okay. The school is, so you got a chance for 2 points for each question. The school is Rydell High.
Oh, Grease.
Okay.
And then, the teacher from Grease?
You need to give me one of the, so I've got a specific teacher. But you've got 1 point for Grease.
I can name almost all the cast members.
So I'll just make it a little bit easier. The name of the principal. Do you know what the name of the principal was?
Oh gosh, that's terrible because I was also in Grease.
So you should know.
I should. No, I can't remember.
No? Okay, I'll pass it over to Marissa. Do you know the name of the...
No, I wouldn't have even gotten Grease. Now that she said now that she said it, I know Rydell High School, but...
Okay, well, you
that
get
was not what I was paying attention
1
to.
point, for, Alayna, for Grease. It was Principal McGee.
Oh.
There you go, Principal McGee.
Even saying the name, I cannot recall who that is.
Oh, well, fair enough. Okay, Marissa, over to you. What would you like?
The teacher name.
The teacher. Okay, Rupert Giles.
Oh, Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Oh man, I don't know the name of the high school. No, I don't know the name of the high school.
No, okay. Over to you then, Alayna. Alaya's my granddaughter's name. I don't know why I said.
Oh, I love that name. No, I do not know. I didn't really watch that much Buffy, which
it was Sunnydale High.
Oh, yeah. I knew it was like a twist because it was like the least aptly named high school.
It was like Slayer High.
Exactly. Exactly. Okay, number 3, Alayna, over to you. What would you like?
School again, I think.
The school, okay. Springfield Elementary.
Is this The Simpsons?
It is The Simpsons.
It's Edna. Is that the teacher that you're thinking of?
What's her last name?
Oh my gosh. I'm not going to get that. Oh. I see her though. No, sorry.
No? Okay.
I got the first name.
Marissa?
Don't know. I know Edna and I know The Simpsons. But...
It's Edna Crabapple.
Oh, Crabapple! Oh, bummer.
Crabapple. Okay.
We were not allowed to watch The Simpsons, so we had to sneak it. No, so Marissa and I are a year apart. And we had to sneak it after school before our parents got home from work. And that was the only way we could keep up with the culture in our school. So I got Edna though, and
well done. Yes. So we're at 2 points for you, Alayna, at the moment. So Marissa, over to you.
I'm gonna go with the teacher again.
Okay, Walter White.
Oh, Breaking Bad.
Is correct.
I don't know the school again.
No.
No.
Alayna, what about you?
No, I don't know.
It's J.P. Wynn High School.
Oh.
There you go.
No. My husband's addicted to that show.
I was going to say, I never said these were going to be easy. So
no.
just Okay, Alayna. It's 2-2 at the moment. You're all level.
Teacher,
okay. Mr. Clark.
Well, I know Marissa knows. I just saw it on her face.
I think.
Mr. Clark.
Is it weird that I went Clark Kent?
Yes, that's
I went
very
Superman.
weird.
Mr. Clark. Is that Ferris Bueller?
No, it isn't. No.
I don't
Marissa?
think I even have the movie right, but I'm pretty sure was Mr. Clark Morgan Freeman, like played by Morgan Freeman, and it might be Stand and Deliver or something like that.
Oh no, Lean on Me.
No.
Oh.
And no. No, it was actually Hawkins Middle School, Stranger Things.
I've never seen that show.
Oh,
I
you've
only
not?
watched
Horror,
the
so-
first season. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay, Marissa.
Teacher, please.
Teacher, Alaric Saltzman.
Well. Let's see. Yeah, no clue.
No idea at all. Alayna? No. It
No.
was Mystic Falls High from Vampire Diaries.
I don't
No.
know what Vampire Diaries is. That's awful. Oh my gosh.
Okay, so we're back to you, Alayna. Your choice. What do you want to go for?
School.
School. Welton Academy. That's probably the hardest one out of the three choices you had for this. What was the school?
Welton
Academy.
No, I don't have it. I for whatever reason, I like my brain does this thing where it like tries to switch in something that I do know. So it was like Nevermore Academy from Wednesday.
Okay.
I couldn't tell you. No,
it's
sorry.
not. No. Okay, Marissa.
Is that where John Keating was the teacher?
Is correct. And the movie?
Dead Poet Society.
Oh man.
Well done. Well done. Okay, Marissa, your question now. What do you want to go for?
The teacher, please.
Mr. Vernon.
Is it The Breakfast Club?
She's on fire. She's on fire.
I don't know the high school though. No, I don't know.
No, I don't know
Alayna,
that either.
do you know that? Do you know the high school? No.
But he was on my teacher bad list, Mr. Vernon.
Yeah,
he was going to be on my top 10.
Do it again.
But no.
Say it again. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just got another. And another. What's the name of the
We've
school,
watched
though?
that movie so many times. Yeah, what was the name of the school?
It was Shermer High School.
Shermer. Okay.
Shermer. Okay, Alayna, your last one. What do you want to go for?
Teacher?
Dewey Finn.
Oh, okay. School of Rock. No
Correct.
idea about the school.
No? Marissa, do you know the name of the school?
No.
It was Horace Green Prep School. But you
I was
got
gonna say,
one
I
there.
should know
Well
it because it literally was part of the event that they did. But yeah, Horace Green. Okay.
There
I'll let
you
say
go.
it.
Okay, so we need last one for you, Marissa.
Can I have the teacher again, please?
You can. Professor X.
Oh,
X-Men and
oh my gosh.
Professor Xavier's Academy for Youth or something like that. For youngsters. For
I'm going to give you
Gifted
that.
youngsters. Yeah, for gifted youngsters.
Xavier School for Gifted Children.
Oh, gifted children. Okay.
A round of applause there. Well done. Final
done,
scores. Alayna got 3 and Marissa got 7. Wow.
because I wouldn't have gotten that.
There you go. And now their podcast is no more because they're going to argue about the fact of who's won and who's lost. I'm sorry about that. I didn't mean to.
Together we got 10. So I'll count that as a win.
Top 10. There you go.
There you go. And it's not easy. That was not easy, I have to admit. But there you go. Okay. Back to the job in hand. Let's turn the applause off. Alayna, you're number 5 then, please.
Okay, I'm kind of cheating here, but the cast of Abbott Elementary. I really I was hard pressed to choose one person. If you made me choose one, I do have one, but I'm
going to make you choose one. No, I'm not. Okay. No, that's fine.
Well, if I did have to choose one, I would choose Barbara Howard, but I relate so much more on a familiar level to Shementi. I love Miss Chimenti. I think she's hilarious. I love the way she teaches, but Barbara Howard is just like who I feel like. Marissa, do you remember our kindergarten teachers?
Yes.
Do you remember like Miss Vogel?
And
She
Miss
was just
Fitzgerald.
yeah, they were so kind and sweet and attentive, and it just makes me feel warm. But Abbott Elementary is genius. Genius show.
You're gonna have
Janine
to.
Teagues from Abbott Elementary is my number 3.
Who
Oh, there
who's
you
it?
go.
Janine Teagues. So the writer, her name's Quinta Brunson. She is the Janine Teagues, and she's just so talented. And that's good choice. I hear you on.
I love
it's
her
hard to pick one.
perseverance. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so I think I've heard of it, but I have no idea what it is. Abbott Elementary.
You want to explain it, Lane?
No, go ahead. You got it.
It's an elementary school set in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and it is a lower income school, and they do a lot to support the children there, but the staff has to work with very limited resources and a very unique personality from a principal standpoint. She like cuts costs but like wants to spend, and she focuses, she really likes the step team. So they have this challenging administration that they have to work around, but they're all in it really nicely for the students. And then each of the teachers has a really good rapport, and I mean, like, they incorporate positions all the way from the janitor to the principal, and like they look out for the kids, and they bring in creative resources, and they're just trying to do more with less. And it is a very inspirational and aspirational show, and it's well done. If you haven't had a chance to watch it, highly recommend. It's on a number of platforms, so it should be easy to access. But
yeah, I
think you would, based on the humor you said that you like, it would probably make a lot of sense and resonate.
Right. I'll add that to the ever-growing list of my homework that I need to do that I get for every episode. But that's cool. You both said that one. So number 5 and number 3. Okay. My number 5, I'm going for one of the more of a trainer than the actual teacher, and I'm going for Mickey from Rocky. So Rocky's original trainer.
Good choice.
Yeah,
Burgess Meredith. He was so good at it because he didn't take any crap from Rocky, and he was always telling him that he was a bum, and and didn't really teach him to believe in himself until he believed in him, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Rocky he always thought that he was a bum and never really got a chance, and then gets the chance from Apollo Creed in the first Rocky movie, and Mickey doesn't want to train him. He doesn't want to because he doesn't think he's got it, but those first couple of Rocky movies are so good because they're so grounded and so real. And then he became a bit of a cartoon character as he went on, and spoilers for a movie that's probably 30, 40 years old. But he dies in Rocky 3. He has a heart attack and dies, and it kind of breaks Rocky, and he's fighting Mr. T and hasn't got the eye of the tiger, as Apollo Creed tells him. And it's a beautiful relationship they have, because it's almost like a father-son relationship.
Yeah.
But he has to kick Rocky's ass, and he has to kind of, like I say, Mickey has to make himself believe that Rocky can do it before he can tell Rocky that he can do it. He has to convince himself first. He was almost teaching himself that Rocky is good enough to do this. And those first 2 movies, I think, are great movies just on their own. But yeah, I thought I'd put Mickey in there.
Love that choice. I really wouldn't have thought of that.
No, but bless him, Burgess Meredith, who was also the Penguin in the '66 Batman TV show. So,
my gosh, I didn't know that.
Did you not know that? Yeah, Burgess
no,
Meredith.
And I love Batman, but
yeah, the Adam West Batman, he was the Penguin. Okay, so that was look. We're always learning.
I know, love it.
What a great title
Everything
for a podcast.
is learning.
What a great title for a podcast that is. Okay, Alayna, you're number 4, please.
Feeney, Mr. Feeney, George Feeney.
He's my number 1. I forgot that you had asked me to hold that. He's my number 1.
Don't worry.
Really? He's your number 1?
Yeah, I'll go into it later when I get the chance.
Well, I not often, and I actually love this about Abbott Elementary too. You don't often see when there's a show about a school or a show about teachers, their life outside of school and the impact that they continue to make or what kind of person they are outside of school. Or even relationships with families. Like I still have a relationship with several families that I had my first year of teaching. I've held on to them, you know, and I love that about George Feeney. I love that he loved his students, and it wasn't like, yes, you just key into certain ones on Boy Meets World because they're the main characters, but you can just tell that there's this respect, but there's also this like push of challenge yourself and learn that life isn't just in these walls, it's outside, and who you are in here can be who you are out there and vice versa. Love George Feeney. So
okay. Do you want to say about him now, or do you want to wait until we reveal our number ones, Marissa?
Well, you know what? I'm going to flip my number 1 and number 2, so there can still be some suspense and build up. But I echo everything Alayna just said about George Feeney, and the fact that you didn't just see him as a teacher, but also a neighbor. So, because a lot of times, I don't know how you were, but it was weird for us to see our teachers like in the real world. Like, yeah, we knew they were.
I was going to say the same thing.
So odd. And so, and humbling, but he taught you life lessons amidst the like classroom lessons. And so he had to make my list. It was really hard to pick the top 3. But he had to make my list. But yeah, good choice. I echo that.
I will have to look because I've not seen anything that this Mr. Feeney has done. So I will have to. I recognize the name Boy Meets World, but I'm sure once I start watching some bits of it, I might recognize it. But yeah, that point of, I always thought when I was little that teachers just lived in the classroom. They just, and they would like wake up and then be ready for school, that they didn't have people that they, you know, one of the biggest shocks I ever got was seeing the teachers put a play on, and I can't remember what the name of the play was, and 2 of the teachers had to kiss. And that was like such scandal because these 2 teachers were kissing, and like, hang on a minute. That's not right. And it just seemed like a weird thing that they would have a life outside of teaching us. It was very, very strange concept. Yeah. But okay, so that was your number 4. So Marissa, your number 4.
Sister Mary Clarence, played by Whoopi Goldberg in the Sister Act movies. I think the fact that she comes from such unique beginnings and then has to go undercover and then make a situation work, and then she imparts such wonderful transformation from a school level, and then in the second movie like help someone find their passion and their spark. I hope to make that kind of difference in the life of someone, and I think the fact that she does it with music is just so tremendous. So she's my number 4.
Okay, I haven't seen those movies for a long time.
Yeah. There's supposed to be a 3rd one coming out, and Maggie Smith plays the headmistress, or not right. Headmistress. Oh my gosh, Mother Superior.
Yeah.
And it was really hard not to choose her too, because you know she undergoes a transformation and she has to risk a lot. So they were going to include her, and then she unfortunately passed away. And so I'm looking forward to seeing it, because I think Back in the Habit, or however they're going to phrase it, is going to be so much fun. I really like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do they, I mean, when was the last time you watched those movies? I mean, do they still hold out well? I don't know.
We loved those movies. We rewatched them so many times that the first one, the VHS, do you remember the VHS fell apart? We literally watched it.
Shrinked. You couldn't see it anymore. Yeah.
Oh dear.
Yeah, it's probably been about a decade. It's been a long time.
Yeah, I need to revisit
Whoopi Goldberg just did something on The View, though, where she brought back the choir from the second movie, and brought back this is terrible. I don't like labels, but the mouseier nun, the younger one.
Oh yeah, the one with the red hair. Yeah.
Yeah. So they brought her back too. Yeah, and it was really cool to see that, and I'm sure it was probably to hype up this movie that's coming out soon, but. Yeah, that was one of Whoopi's best roles. That and Ghost, I think, were great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, many tears were shed watching Ghost. Oh dear. Okay, so what was that? That was your number 4. My number 4. Now, just for comedic value, I'm going to go for Principal Skinner from The Simpsons. Just because of the fact of just how much Bart makes his life, You know, just terrible. And it's the kind of thing that you look at, and I think, I don't know anybody that would want to be a teacher to that kind of age of kids, because it must be just a nightmare. It must. I mean, you tell me, is it a nightmare? It must be. I mean, it must be rewarding. Obviously, it's rewarding because you're shaping future generations, but they can just be pains in the ass, can't they? I mean, kids. I mean, they're just a nightmare.
Oh, I mean, adults too. Like, come on.
I mean, oh yes, adults too. Adults too.
But I find myself frequently defending children.
Well, that's fair
like,
enough.
no, literally, like it just translates across the ages. But no, you're right. And my favorite age was middle school. Was like 5th grade through 8th grade. It was always like my sweet spot. But I still work with kids.
It's not every child as well, is it? That's the thing. It's there's always one or two that are always going to be naughty. They're always going to be, you know, the bad apples, if you like, and they're the ones that I'm assuming that take up more time of a teacher's day because they play up all the time, and the ones that are good are the ones that are just going to sit there and do their work.
We actually just talked about this in our podcast, and there's a TED Talk about exactly what you're talking about, and you're right. There are a few that take a lot of time and a lot of energy, but sometimes those pain points for what teachers are experiencing can be their kids' most unique talent. And if you can funnel that and like channel it into something productive, it can be really informative. But to your point, I would never have wanted to teach Bart Simpson, and anyone who's going through puberty, that's not an age I would like to teach. So hear you.
See, meanwhile, I'm like, bring them to me, because I know how tough that was, and I don't want them to feel that way. And I find, and we actually just talked about this too on our last episode, was, you know, like for me, because I was one of those hard kids, I was that way at home, but in school I was perfect, quote unquote, according to my teachers. I'm sure not my classmates, but I definitely like, I love those kids because all they need, I think every single human being should have free therapy, but I also feel like every single human being should be seen and feel valued. And those kids just take a little extra time because they're not seen and valued. And then all of a sudden you see that almost satirical or challenge turns into something really beautiful. They have like humor, some kind of underlying superpower, and I love those kind of, like Bart Simpson, I would be like, welcome. Let's see how it goes. What do you have to teach me?
There's the door. Don't let's split you.
You say that until he staples your skirt to the chair, and then okay, so that's my number 4. So Alayna, your number 3 was Mr. Miyagi. And Marissa, your number 3 was, what was the name from Abbott Elementary?
Yep, Janine Teagues, yep.
Lovely. My number 3 was Yoda, so we've already spoken about that. Alayna, your number 2 was John Keating from Dead Poets Society.
Yep.
And Marissa, your number 2 now is Mr. Feeney.
Yep.
And my number 2, I'm going to go for Walter White from Breaking Bad.
Okay.
Now, the thing is, again, a very flawed character. And you can say at the start that what he was doing, I think Breaking Bad is one of the greatest TV shows of all time, just for the fact of the quality all the way through from start to finish. There are a lot of shows that I think are great. Game of Thrones was great, but I think fumbled the ball at the end. There are a lot of shows that are like that. They're great for 2 or 3 seasons, and then something. Lost was great for the first few seasons, and then just seemed to disappear up its own backside for some reason, and it just ruined it, you know. So
that's a great explanation.
But Breaking Bad was something that, like, right from the start to the amazing, like, final few episodes was just the quality was just so high. And again, for an arc of a character, for someone like Walter White, who started off, and you could see he was doing what he did for a reason for his family, but then got taken over, like I said in the facts, he became like this Scarface character that loved what he was doing. He loved the fact that he was this he had this reputation, you know. But as he seemed like a really good teacher in the first few episodes. You know, he doesn't take any crap from any of his, you know, mouthy pupils. I just felt he had to be in there, and I think it's just because I love that show so much. You know, I think it's just a great show, so that's why he's so high in my top 10.
Bryan Cranston is so talented and
So,
like owned that role. I mean, that I don't know if anyone could have replaced him. And then like even Jesse's really kind of his only student per se. I mean, I know he had the classroom, but like he actually took what he did in the class and made a practical application. Perhaps not in the legal sense.
no.
Like, yeah, you know, talking about tangible learning right there. No, that good choice in the sense that he was a really like a flawed character, human and realistic, but does a great show. Agreed.
Yeah. Okay. So before we reveal our number one picks, Alayna, do you want to just give us your rundown from 10 to 2? Marissa, you can do the same. I'll do the same, and then we'll reveal our number one choices.
Great. I've got Stephen Hightower from The Steve Harvey Show, Miss Valerie Frizzle from The Magic School Bus, Yoda from Star Wars, Indiana Jones from Indiana Jones, Chef Terry from The Bear, the cast of Abbott Elementary, George Feeney, Boy Meets World, Mr. Miyagi, John Keating, and then
that'll do for now.
Yeah.
Marissa, you're 10 to. I thought you was gonna.
No, I was like
Marissa.
Oh,
Marissa, you're 10 to 2, please.
Alfie Wickers, Mr. Ray, John Keating, Ted Lasso, Mr. Miyagi, Miss Frizzle, Sister Mary Clarence, Janine Teagues, and Mr. Feeney.
Lovely. And mine is 10, John Keaton, Dead Poets Society. 9, Severus Snape. 8, Gabby from Shrinking. 7, Mr. Bronson, Grange Hill. 6, Miss Trunchbull from Matilda. 5, Mickey from Rocky. 4, Principal Skinner from The Simpsons. 3, Yoda. And 2, Walter White from Breaking Bad. So, Alayna, what is your number one movie or TV teacher?
Professor Minerva McGonagall.
Oh,
yes. There you go.
I could cry thinking about Maggie Smith. I just, but you know, she just was the coolest professor. She was sweet and caring and lovely and also had this edge. And I love some of the prequels because you get to see her as a young teacher. And those people don't have anything on Maggie Smith, whoever they played, you know, but just she is so dynamic. And I love the relationships that she had with everybody. I love when she like goes after Snape. That was so baller. I was like, whoa, like she's just like, I have had it. Like, and got to a breaking point, and you're just like, how is this woman? And she was fighting cancer the whole time she was in that role. Like, it's just, I find her inspirational. I find the role inspirational. If I ever got to go to Hogwarts, she would be the teacher that I wanted. So,
great
that's my
one.
number one.
That's a great number one. Okay. Marissa, what's your amended number one?
Yes, so it was really hard to choose. And so Coach Herman Boone and Coach Bill Yost from Remember the Titans. So again, not necessarily more a learning mentor than an actual teacher, but have you ever seen Remember the Titans, Pat?
I've not, no.
Okay,
No.
so the movie is based in Tennessee, and it was in the 50s, 60s, and there was at the height of racism, right when integration happened between Black and white students going to the same school. And this was the first team that had an integrated team, and they had to
football team.
Oh, sorry. Yes, thank you. Football team. And they had to integrate, and it's a true story. And they went undefeated. And there was a one of the All-American, really top tier players got injured, paralyzed in the movie and in the season, and like all the adversity that they needed to overcome because of all the different challenges, and how each of the coaches approached that, like with the desire to better the students and what they were doing and overcome all of these other challenges outside of just playing a game. Like it meant more. And so from a impactful standpoint and where true transformation happened, that is why they are my number one choice. The fact that they also exist and are real people memorialized in film.
Wow. Great. Another one to add to my list of homework.
Yeah. And it's one of the best soundtracks of all time.
Oh, really?
So
all
for
time.
context, the coaches are played by Denzel Washington and Will Patton, who are amazing actors.
Geniuses.
So that
Yes.
if there is any motivation, I mean, I know that we gave you a litany of things to watch. That might be enough of a reason to persuade you why this is a good idea.
Denzel Washington was my number one in the greatest living actors, because I think he's just a genius. It doesn't matter what he does; he's just great in every single thing that he's in.
Agreed.
And Remember the Titans is one of the ones that kind of slipped through the floorboards. I haven't seen, so I will definitely check that one out. That's a great one. Okay, my number one. I've cheated a little bit. I've got two people at my number one. I've got Henry Jones Sr. and Henry Jones Jr. I've got Indy and his dad. We actually had a dog called Indy. We actually had a dog called Indy.
I'm really glad I didn't name my daughter Indy now.
Yeah. He was named after the dog. That's amazing. Like, that's Indy's nickname. That's amazing.
Exactly. And the thing was, we had she's since passed away, bless her. She was very old. That's fine. And we bought another dog, which was a little sausage dog, a Dachshund. And I so wanted to call him Shorty, as in short round. But my wife and my kids, no, it had to be called Fred. Boring Fred. And I thought, what great it would be to call him Shorty, because you have Indy and Shorty. It just, Indy and short round. But anyway, I mean, they're both teachers, and even when they're together, they're teaching each other stuff, you know. And I just felt they had to be. And I love Harrison Ford. Sean Connery is great, but I love Indiana Jones. Just even the bad movies have still got something in there about them.
Great choice.
And I
love that.
I had to have them in there, and they're my number ones. Okay, so we've got some honorable mentions. Carol Barwick just put Mr. Poppy. I need to find out what that actually is, because I don't know what that is.
No, I don't either.
No, Jody Yakota says Onizuka Sensei, GTO, the J drama series, not anime. Mr. Thackeray, To Sir with Love. Mr. Feeney, Boy Meets World. Mr. Hand, Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Mr. Sheebley, School of Rock. Shout out to Principal Mullins.
Ned Sheebley.
Mr. Holland, Mr. Holland's Opus. Mr. White, Breaking Bad. Econ teacher from Ferris Bueller's Day Off, and Professor McGonagall from Harry Potter. Maria Pereira also says Mr. Feeney from Boy Meets World. He's technically a principal and not a teacher, but Principal Skinner from The Simpsons. Mrs. Crabapple also from The Simpsons, and Spanish teacher Ben Chang from Community.
Oh, Community is so good.
Such a great show. Yeah. Dave Spur says Mr. Mackey, okay, from South Park. Korean Pasta says John Keating from Dead Poet Society. Brandon Watson says Edward James Olmos, Stand and Deliver. Mr. Holland and his Opus. Michelle Pfeiffer in Dangerous Minds, also amazing. And my personal favourite, Jon Stewart in The Faculty. Paul Osgood says Greg Davis in The Inbetweeners. Have you guys ever seen The Inbetweeners?
No.
I've heard of the show, but I haven't seen it yet.
It's kind of cut on along the same cloth as Bad Education. It's that kind of British humour, really foul-mouthed, bad humour. But Greg Davis is a legend. He's really good, and used to be a teacher as well. Adrian Gonzalez says the teacher from A Christmas Story. She is so calm and sweet, but in Ralphie's imagination, she is mean and even a witch. But in real life scenes, never reacts harsh, even when they get their classmates' tongue stuck to a pole.
To the pole. Love that.
I've never seen that, but I feel like I need to watch that now. Getting a tongue stuck to a pole. What kind of pole is it?
A flagpole.
Oh, right. Okay. It's not a strippers club. It's not a strippers club or anything.
Yeah. Oh, no. Ding.
I thought this is a movie I need to watch.
No.
Okay. Dan the Man Harper said Mr. Holland. For any of us that has studied music, there was a teacher that loved music and taught us all to love it too. Dawn Sardella Ayres said, I became an English professor because of Robin Williams. I know, she says. And Janine Bender says Mr. Cotter.
I don't know who that one is either.
There you go. Isn't that Welcome Back, Cotter? Wasn't that a US?
I'll have to go. Maybe.
I think that was before our time.
Right, yeah, I think you are just young pups, aren't you? That's what you are. I think John Travolta was in that. It was like a 70s, 80s comedy show.
I'm not sure. Yeah.
But there you go. Ladies, we've done it. We've done it.
Hooray.
This was so great.
Have you got any honorable mentions on your list that you'd like to just let us know about?
I did. I had Charles Xavier. The way that he goes and seeks people out for their gifts.
Yeah.
And that, like, the labels of being hard or misunderstood. Love that. Mr. Kimball from Kindergarten Cop. And then
he's not a tumor.
Yeah. There was like that whole cop thing too that he did like in the class where he whistled. It was genius. And I do think that, like, as much as you can be trained for something, some things just come naturally to people. And I love the dynamic of the kids teaching him kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then Hilda and Zelda from Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
Of course.
So,
Marissa, what did you have on your honorable mention list?
Ben Chang from Community was on there. And then I also had Mr. Holland from Mr. Holland's Opus. And then most of the teachers from Hogwarts, because I didn't pick that thing as I expected everyone. And then Annalise Keating from How to Get Away with Murder, played by Viola Davis. She does like trial handling class, and like people will like transfer into the school. And I was going to say the Keatings if I could have cheated, but John Keating kind of tips out to Annalise Keating. But yeah, oh my goodness, such great teachers. It was really hard to pick 10, but what a cool list that you each had.
It was wonderful, absolutely wonderful. And like I say, we've done it. Well done. Congratulations on sorting out your first top 10, and hopefully it won't be your last. That's what I'm hoping. So
thank you so much for having us. This was so fun.
Like I say, thank you. And if everybody check the show notes, and please go and listen to the ladies' podcast and go and follow them on all the social medias. And also, don't forget to listen out for Neil's sultry voice at the end of the episode with all of our gubbins, all of our social medias gubbins, where you can also get, we've got a new merch. Look, I've got my Pop Quiz Hot Shot t-shirt on. And I've got my top head hat on. You can get all the links for that are in the show notes. So please go and spend your money and let's have loads of top head t-shirts and stuff like that. Ladies, thank you so much again for joining us. It's been so much fun.
Thank you, Pav.
Awesome. Thank you very much, everybody, for watching and listening. Now let's go start the countdown.